Hello, I'm Paula Daniele from Crochet Hook, and this is my pretty crochet beanie pattern that I'll be showing you how to make today. So if you know how to do the chain stitch, slip stitch, double crochet stitch and single crochet stitch, then you'll have no problems making this pattern. The materials required for this project are one skein or ball of Red Heart with Love yarn, and I'm using the colour Lilac. And this is a medium worsted weight yarn, category 4. Now the second yarn that we'll be using is Red Heart Kids in the colour of Playful. And this is also a medium worsted weight yarn, category 4. So with those yarns we'll be using a 6.5mm hook. You'll need your craft scissors and your yarn needle. To get started we'll be using the Lilac yarn. So leave a good amount of tail because you'll be needing that later on. Now just make a slip knot, and then with your 6.5mm hook just pop that through there. And now we're going to chain 5, or make 5 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to pop our hook into this first chain stitch here under both of those top loops, and we'll be making a slip stitch to form a ring. So there's our ring there. Now for round 1, we'll start off with a chain 2, 1, 2, and this chain 2 counts as 1 double crochet stitch, and any chain 2 that you make during this pattern will count as 1 double crochet stitch. So now we're going to be doing 15 double crochet stitches into this ring, and as we go along we'll be crocheting over the tail. So here's our first double crochet stitch, and you can see I have the tail over the hook there. That's how we're crocheting it into the work as we go. So there's 1 double crochet stitch. So wanting to do 15 of those into this ring. There's 2. There's 3. And I'll let you continue on until you have 15 double crochet stitches, and I'll meet you around here. So now I've got my 15 double crochet stitches into the ring, and now we're going to join into the top of this chain 2. So you can see there's the first chain stitch we made, and there's the second chain stitch. So that is the chain 2 that we're going to join into. And you're going to pop the hook under both loops of that chain 2 and make a slip stitch to join the round. So at the end of round 1 you'll have 16 stitches because you've got 15 double crochet stitches and your chain 2 counts as 1 stitch, which brings it up to 16 stitches. Now at this point you can grab your little tail at the end here and just give it a little pull, and that will pull the center tight. Now later on what we'll do is we'll use a yarn needle and weave that in around there, and that'll completely pull that tight so that you have no hole. So for round 2 we'll start off with a chain 2. 1, 2. So 2 chain stitches. That counts as 1 double crochet stitch. And now we'll be starting a repetitive sequence. And the repetitive sequence is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch here, and then 1 double crochet stitch into the next stitch. So let's do that. So here's our first double crochet into the next stitch, and into that same stitch there we'll make our second double crochet. Now moving on to the next one here, just 1 double crochet into that stitch. So basically that's your repetitive sequence, and you'll do that right around until the last stitch. So once again the sequence is 2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, continuing right around up until this stitch here, and then I'll show you what to do with the last stitch. I'm up towards the end of round 2 with 1 stitch left to go. Now into that last stitch we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches. So here's our first double crochet, and into the same stitch do a second double crochet. And if you're wondering why it's done that way, if you look at here, see that's counted as 1 stitch, then you've got 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and it continues right around in that fashion. So you 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you're back to the beginning where there is a 1. So that's how you want it to be. Okay, so now we're up to joining into the chain 2, and there's our first chain and there's our second one. So we want to pop into that chain 2, or the second chain stitch, and we're hopping under both of those loops like that, and then we're making our slip stitch to join this round. So at the end of round 2 you'll have 24 stitches, and when you're counting whether you have 24 stitches, when you do your stitch count, remember that the chain 2 does count as 1 stitch. Okay, for round 3 we'll start off with a chain 2. 1, 2. Now we'll be starting a repetitive sequence, and the repetitive sequence for round 3 is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So that's what we're doing on this round, right around. So this next stitch here, pop our first double crochet stitch into there, and into the same we're going to do a second double crochet. Into the next stitch do 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch 1 double crochet. So you're going to repeat that right around. So 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, repeating that sequence right around up until the last 2 stitches here. So you'll make your last stitch here, and then I'll show you what to do with these last 2 stitches. I'm heading up towards the end of round 3, and I have 2 stitches left to crochet into. Now with these last 2 stitches, this next one we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into that same stitch. So here's our first one. Here's 1 double crochet, and into the same stitch we'll do our second double crochet, and into this last stitch here we'll do 1 double crochet. And you'll probably notice that there's a pattern, as I explained on the last round. So you've got 2 stitches in that 1 stitch there, then you've done 2 individual ones, 2 stitches, and then 2 individual ones, and it continues right around. And see, we've done 2 stitches there, 1 stitch there, and that first chain 2 counts as 1 stitch. So it's the same. So you've got 2 there and 2 individuals there, and as you come around to the end here, there's 2 there, and these 2 count as 2 individuals. So it's even all around on the round. So now we need to join into the chain 2. So there was our first chain, there's our second one. Just hopping under both loops there. And making a slip stitch, and at the end of round 3 you should have 32 stitches. To start round 4 we'll start off with a chain 2. So make 2 chain stitches, and then we'll be starting a repetitive sequence, and that sequence is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So into this stitch here we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches. There's our first one, and into the same stitch we'll do a second one. Into the next stitch we'll do 1 double crochet. into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. So that's the sequence that you're going to repeat right around. So 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And you'll keep repeating that right around up until these last 3 stitches. So you'll end there, and then I'll show you what to do with these last 3 stitches. So now I'm up to my last 3 stitches on round 4. So into this next stitch here we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches. So here's our first one. And into the same stitch we'll do our second one. Into the next stitch we'll do 1 double crochet. And into the next and last stitch we'll do 1 double crochet. So now we're ready to join into the top of the chain 2. So there's our first chain stitch, and here's our second one. So popping the hook up under that second chain stitch, and we want to get up under both of the loops. There's one loop, and then we want to get up under that second one there as well. There we go. And then just make a slip stitch. To finish that round. So at the end of round 4 you'll have 40 stitches. To start round 5 we'll start off with a chain 2. So 1, 2 chain stitches. Now a repetitive sequence on this round will be 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches, so 1 in each. So into this next stitch here we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches. So here's our first one, into the same stitch, a second double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, into the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. So you'll use this repetitive sequence right around. So the sequence once again is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches, and you'll continue that right around the round up until the last 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so you'll finish here, and then I'll show you what to do with these 4 stitches. I'm up to my last 4 stitches on round 5 here. So with this next stitch here, we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches into that stitch. Here's our first one. There's one, and into that same stitch we'll do a second double crochet. Into the next stitch we'll do 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch 1 double crochet. Into the next and last stitch 1 double crochet. So now we're ready to join into the top of the chain 2. So just popping your hook up under both loops of that second chain and making a slip stitch. To join that round. So at the end of round 5 you'll have 48 stitches. So now for round 6 we'll start off with a chain 2. So 1, 2, and our repetitive sequence will be 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So with this next stitch we'll do 2 double crochet stitches. There's our first one, and into the same stitch we'll do a second double crochet. Into the next stitch 1 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 double crochet. So we've got 2 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the sequence that you'll repeat right around for this round. So 2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, repeating that right around until you get to your last 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll finish here, and then I'll show you what to do with these last 5 stitches. I'm up to my last 5 stitches on round 6 here. Now into this next stitch we'll be doing 2 double crochet stitches. There's our first one. Into the same stitch we'll do a second double crochet. Into the next stitch we'll do 1 double crochet, into the next stitch 1 double crochet, into the next stitch 1 double crochet, and into our next and last stitch we'll do 1 double crochet. And now we're ready to join into the top of the chain 2 here. Remembering to pop your hook under both loops of that chain 2, and then making a slip stitch to join the round. So at the end of round 6, this is what it's looking like, and you'll have 56 stitches. Now if you do want to add an extra round to make a larger beanie, there's an extra round on your screen there that you can add in before starting on the next rounds, which are for the sides of the beanie. So to start the sides, we're starting on round 7, and we'll start off with a chain 2. So 1, 2, and all we'll be doing for this round and all the following rounds is 1 double crochet into each stitch right around. So we don't need to increase anymore, so we're just popping 1 double crochet stitch into each stitch. So I'll let you continue working right around for this round by making 1 double crochet stitch into each stitch, and your last stitch will be in this stitch right here, that one there, and I'll see you there. I'm at the end of round 7, and I've made my last double crochet stitch here in this last stitch. Now just as a tip, when beginning crochet, a lot of people tend to pop an extra stitch in the join here. Now the problem is when you do that, you're adding in an extra stitch which doesn't need to be there, and it's going to make your beanie out of shape and look very strange. So just be very wary of that your last stitch should always just go in here above the last stitch on the last round. So remember that there is a join and not a stitch to be stitched into. So now we're going to join into the top of the chain 2 to complete this round. Just making a slip stitch, and at the end of this round you have the exact amount of stitches that you had from the previous round. So to continue on with your beanie for rounds 8 to 14, you'll repeat round 7. And I'll meet you at the end of round 14. Okay, so I've just finished round 14, and now we can cut our yarn, leave a good amount so that you can weave that in to your work with a yarn needle. And we're just going to finish off. Now grab your yarn needle with a big eye and thread this through. And if you turn your work this way, so this is the wrong side or the inside of the beanie, and we're just going to pop the hook down. See, we've just finished there. I'm just going to pop the hook down through the middle there. And try not to pull too tight because we want that to look even. And then we're just going to work our way down through the stitches here to weave this yarn tail in. And you can go down as far as you like. And then turn your work this way. Skip that loop or the last loop there, and then just run your needle back up. Now you can cut that. And now we need to do the inside yarn tail. So just turn your work inside out. And we're going to weave this tail in around the center and pull that hole tight. So So if that's a bit tatty, just give that a cut like that. It makes it easier to thread through your needle. So now you can see where it is there. We want to head in this direction. And as I pull, you'll see that it's going to tighten that centre. And you just keep going around. And then what we're going to do is skip this last loop here and head back. See how that catches on that loop, so it's extra secure. And then you can trim that off. You don't want to go around too many times with this centre yarn tail, because otherwise it gets a little bit too bulky there, and that's not a good look. So that is what the beanie, once you turn it in back in the right way, that's what it looks like at the back when it's off the head. And that's what it looks like at the front. Now we're up to making the edging with the Red Heart Kids Playful yarn. It's a category 4. And we'll just take the label off there, and we'll be starting off into the last stitch where you finished off on the beanie. So we'll still be using our 6mm crochet hook. So getting our Playful yarn, and you'll spin the back of the cap around like this, and you'll see slightly where your join is there, and you can run your finger up and you'll be able to see where you last finished. Now you want to pop your hook into that last stitch like that, and getting the end of your Playful yarn or your other coloured yarn, and there's the yarn tail there, just popping it over the hook like that, draw it through, bring that tail over here, and just making a slip stitch there, and pull your tail down to make it tight. Now in where we've just joined there, it is a little bit tight because it's a join, we're going to make a single crochet into that same space. And we are going to work over the yarn tail as we go. We're working this tail in as we go along here. So for the edging, it's simply just a single crochet into each stitch. So see, there's the tail. Make sure that's over the hook and make your single crochet stitches into each stitch around. And this just makes a really pretty edging, which is going to look nice when we put our strips through a couple of the rows above. So it looks all matching. So I'll let you continue on making the edging by simply making a single crochet into each stitch around, and then I'll see you at the end here. Now I've just done my last single crochet stitch there for the edging, and now we're going to join into the first single crochet stitch that we made at the start of the round here. So just pop your hook in under there and just make a slip stitch, and then leave enough of a tail and cut it, and finish off. And this just gives it a really nice edging. So now you'll need your yarn needle, and you're just going to thread this yarn tail through. Now where you've finished off, just pop the needle down through that next stitch there, and try not to pull too tight. We just want it to look even, or as even as we can get it. And then we're just going to run this along this single crochet edging that we just did to hide our tail. Trying not to pull too tight there, otherwise it'll bunch up. So just weaving through the back of the stitches there, and then just turn your work around like that, and we're going to skip a loop and then just run it back up that way. And then you can trim that off. So that's our edging done. So that's the back of of the work, and that's the front. So now we're going to work on a strip, and we're going to need to make 2 strips because we're going to weave them in and out of the stitches on 2 of these rows in the beanie. Okay, so to make our strips, what we're going to do is still using the Playful yarn, the yarn that matches the edging of the beanie, and we're still using 6.5mm hook. So what we need to do is chain 57 stitches loosely and leave a good amount of tail there. Actually, I'm going to leave a little bit more because we need that to tie a bow with later on. So you can leave it as long as you like, actually, just to make sure that you've got enough. So we need to chain 57 chain stitches fairly loosely, because this is going to be weaved in and out of the beanie, and we do want some kind of stretch to these strips. So as you can see, I'm not doing them tightly like this. I'm just leaving a bit of space. So do each one fairly loosely. So I'll let you go and chain 57 of those, and then I'll see you at the end there. Alright, so once you've got your 57 loose chain stitches, for round 1 for the strip, we're going to do 1 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2. So a single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then it's all easy from here. All you need to do is a single crochet into each chain stitch right across the row. This is all you'll be doing, and that's all there is to it. So a single crochet into each stitch right across to the end. So I'll let you continue on making your single crochet stitches into each chain stitch, and I'll meet you at the end of this row here. Now I'm at the end of row 1 for the strip, and that's it. That's all we need to do for our strip. And what we're going to do is make sure that our end is going to be around the same size as this one. So just cut a little bit longer there, because we're going to finish off back up here. So finish off there, and now you do need to make a second one of these strips, so you can go and do that now if you like. Now I'll show you how to weave it in. So you need the back of your beanie, and you can tell that's the back of the beanie because the join at the back slightly pops up there, so it's not too hard to see. So for our first strip, we're going to turn it around and make sure that you have the right side facing up. The back side is sort of rolly, and that is the right side. So we need this end and we're going to weave this in to the 1, 2, 3, 4th row there. Now you can see that was the starting stitch. So we're just going to pop that in and around the next stitch. And you want to pull this all the way through with your tails here. Now try not to get this twisted as you weave it in and out of your stitches. So I'm putting it in the side of the stitch and bringing it up behind it. Pull it through and make sure it hasn't twisted. And then that's all you keep doing. Making sure it doesn't twist. Pop it in and behind the next stitch. Bring that through. And so you'll continue to do that right around on this row, and then you'll end up coming back to here, and I'll see you there. So I've weaved my strip right around on that round here, and that's what it looks like at the front. And now we need to attach these two ends to this side here. So using a yarn needle, just pop it through one of these yarn ends, and you just want to bring that up through like that. Take the needle out, and then we're going to take this one up through the other side of that strip. And you can pull that out like that. And what we want to do is simply just tie a bow. And if it's bulking up a bit there, just pull it out and around. So just a simple bow. Now you can cut the strands if you think that you feel that the bow is too big. You can make it smaller. About that size is nice. And then just make a double knot to secure the bow. And I can trim those if I don't like them. So anyway, I'm going to even them up anyway. You can cut them if they're too long. So that's what it looks like. Just pull that out, like I said, if it looks like it's getting too bulky there. But why we make those strips loose is that when the beanie goes on the head, it's not restricting the head and pulling tight on it. So now you need to make a second strip, and you're going to do it on the 7th, or put it through the 7th row from the bottom. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the row that you want to put your second strip in. So once you've finished your pretty crochet beanie, this is what it'll look like. So if you'd like to share a photo on the Crochet Hook Facebook page, that'd be great. Thank you.